Hello there, and this video here on Zoria Age of Shattering is going to be tips on getting started the character selection process. So which character do you want to use in this game? There is 12 different classes you want to pick from, and there's a very important choice that you have to make. I can't, underplay that enough, because this is going to be the only character that you have to keep in your party a full time, and you don't know which all these abilities are, what they're going to do, and how effective they're going to be for the full game when you're playing through. Because these rested bonuses and the ability to open up different pathways, these functionalities are incredibly important in this game, because you don't want to go. There's no fast travel in this game, so running back and forth is a pain in the ass. Taking guys out of your party and putting new guys in so they can open up a pathway is going to be a pain. This game has this resting bonus for a reason, because they get rid of debuffs on your characters, and there's everything like debuffs you the whole time. They'll wreck your armor, or they'll poison you, or they'll put a bleed on you, or they'll curse you, and you need somebody to get rid of this, because you just relying on potions is a pain in the ass, and the merchants only sell 1 or 2 items at a time, and you need 1 or 2 items to actually craft one of these potions, and with doing it on 4 guys, it doesn't add up. You're going to be spending a lot of time going back and forth from your different characters to actually use these abilities. So I'm going to discuss what all these different abilities are, and the pros and the cons for the different character selection process, and how good they are at how functional they are in your party, what you might want to choose from. I got the 5th guy over here from my quest, my party right here, but so we can ignore her for the moment. But anyways, with the 12 different classes right here, the standard party you might want to start with right off the bat, just for a quick fix on the stuff right there, is going to be a priest and a lancer, because he's a tank, and a thief and a ranger. If you're looking for a simple solution, you can pick one of those 4 guys, and you're not going to have, it's going to be a good choice for either of those guys. It's going to be a good guy to start with. But let's go over the detailed information on why, and all these different characters and their bonuses and their negatives that I have found out through my playthrough so far. So the Kingsman right here, he's not too bad. He's got this engineering ability that opens up a pathway. You're going to have to put this guy in your party once in a while. You're going to have a Kingsman in there. But his rested bonus is just less resources for sleeping, and you don't use very much, so that small amount is garbage. So his resting bonus is nothing. It's not really important at all. So he's not going to be good for functionality. He has like 1 stun, but he does, it's just a single target stun, and he doesn't he has a single target tanking type of taunts going for himself. So he doesn't really this guy's 1 turn taunt for an AoE. That's not really that great, but he's okay. He's a half tank, half melee damage guy. Depends on how you build him. He's okay for damage at the fire, but his rested bonus sucks, so you might not want to use him, and he's not the best tank either in this game. The best tank is, of course, going to be this Lancer right here, because his AoE taunt is easier to come by and get. So, you have to take this one on his pathway. It's easier to use, and it's just more effective doing a bigger AoE taunt like right away. And he's got the AoE attack damage, and he's got like the 400% armor on him, and what his main function is for demolition. Now there's going to be a lot of pathways that use demolition in this game, more than all the rest of them in the game. And his rested bonus is getting rid of that Sunder debuff, which happens all the time. You can go to a trader and pay for it to remove it, but it is expensive, and stacking it up 5 times, that's really expensive. And repairing your armor already is expensive, and he can repair your armor. Unfortunately, it does not work like it say it does for his character. It does not do that 15%. It will fix broken armor, which is really good on the long adventures, because no fast travel. When you're traveling up there and your shield and weapons break first, that's what happens, and then so you can rest and now heal them up, so they'll be usable for the next fight, and you can keep doing that and saving yourself some repair money along the way. So they're very handy for that too. Breaking those barriers is really nice, and they have that great tanking ability for their stats. Solid party member right there. My guy has where's my tank right there? Go back to my Lancer. Show my tank. I got like 1k health on him right now. Not too bad for his gear, but yeah, my character. Let's go to the next character. This is the Sentinel. This is what I chose, but I didn't know the information I know now, and I probably wouldn't choose him as a main character. He is okay. His reinforced ability is nice at the start of the game, because we only have 1 or 2 party members. Giving that extra additional action point at the start of combat can be really beneficial, because you only get 2 action points, and giving somebody 3 action points is he's 50% more effective right off the bat. But once you have 4 different guys in your party, it's not as effective anymore. anymore. It's not, you know, game changing anyway. It's not really needed. It's just extra. It's an extra attack, extra damage. It is handy, but it's not, you know, going to be the best thing to have at the end of the day. And his rested ability is 5% experience, and he's the only guy that can do that. So he's going to be the only character in the game that the only thing that's going to give you more experience is going to be this guy. But it's just 5%. I can't really. It doesn't show you the buff anywhere on the screen, unfortunately, so you don't know if it's run out or if it's actually working or not. So that's another downfall of it. You know, they should really fix some of this stuff and show you that buff somewhere, or maybe I can't see it and I'm blind. But the other thing you can do with this guy, if you want to be funny, is have 4 of them in your party. Just because you know, they'll give each other all an extra action point. So instead of having a party of 8 action points, you have a party of 12 action points in the first round only. But you know, that's kind of a funny thing to do. But yeah, the Banner of Might, this is just a buff for, you know, 3 turns for your party, and then you have the Banner Mastery, which relies on how many banners are placed in the battlefield. If you have 4 guys casting this, then you're going to have this one go out there at 4 times the effect. So yeah, you're going to have the 4 times the heal for an AoE heal on your party. So you guys are going to be able to heal yourself easily if you have 4 of these guys doing 4 times the heal in there. So you know, it's overhealing to the max. So you don't have to worry about, you know, taking damage or having a healer in your party when you have an ability like this with 4 guys doing it. And then you have this other ability right here, which is an AoE, you know, it will heal stuns, but it's AoE shield, like a 100-point shield bubble on yourself. You have 4 guys that can do that. You know, it's good. And then they have lots of other high damage. This is like the highest damage melee guy I think I've used so far on there. But you know, it doesn't do as much as magic damage, but he does have a nice, good damage buff on him. I just wanted as a side note for him. But yeah, probably not recommended to actually try and do that. So okay, the next character right here is going to be the Wizard, one of the top damage characters in this game. They have that ability to you know, open up different pathways, so that's good. But his rested bonus is just healing mana. It's like nothing, just like the rest of them. It's not really functional. It doesn't get rid of debuffs, which is the most important thing. But the Wizard, you know, uses arcane damage. There are a few things that are immune to arcane damage, but he does have ice damage and does have fire damage to overcompensate for that. And also the magic damage has a lot more damage than it says on here. He's like the top damage guy in my party because I think most of these guys have armor resistance and they don't have any resistance to magic. That's what it seems like for actual gameplay, when my melee guys are doing 70 damage and this guy does 200 damage. It's a big difference. And he's also ranged, right? So you don't have to worry about moving around and getting in position as often with a, you know, a ranged character, which makes him pump out the damage a lot more. He also has a water elemental that will last for 3 turns. So summoned creatures in this game are really strong. They just don't last very long. But yeah, he has an AoE stun, which is another key factor in this game. You lay down an AoE stun that takes up 3 action points of everybody effective. It's pretty big. You can put it anywhere on the screen. Basically, you have a range, of course, but it has its own circle range. But you can place this anywhere. It's not just like a regular, you know, the regular Ring of Frost is just not around you. It's a placeable thing, like the taunt is, like some of all the other abilities. It's just a big area. You can hit like 5 guys at a time if you want to, and have them all lose 3 action points each for their round. So that's very handy to have a mage in there. And then moving on to the Necromancer. The Necromancer, you don't find very much Necromancers in this game at the start. You do get some later on. I got a level 16 guy that's busy doing a mission on there, but I just haven't really used him right there because this animated corpse ability doesn't really do anything. You know, you can talk to them or something. I don't know. I haven't used it. It just doesn't sound very good. You can use this guy for rested bonus though. He does get rid of the annoying diseases, which is one of the more annoying debuffs to get rid of in this game is the disease. But it's not the only way to do it. You know, you got the potions, and the priest will have an ability to get rid of it too with a spell. So it's not really that needed, but you know, he is a magic user that uses death magic, and you know, so all that damage is going to be really handy. He's got summoned skeletons. So yeah, you get a summons right away. Like level 3, you can start pumping out 3 skeletons if you're lucky. Then he has all these other special effects of that he can do as a, you know, a Necromancer would have. So he's going to be like, you know, a strong, you know, just a strong magic user in general with lots of different functionality. He does have a stun, so he's not useless in that department either. So he's a, you know, handy guy to have around. But you know, unlike you know, this guy here, the thief, he's got, you know, better functions all around because, you know, disarm trap. You can just walk through the traps in this game, but they do do heavy damage and putting bleeds on your characters most of the time too, so it's not really advisable to do that. But yeah, he still has the ability to disarm traps. There's not many of them, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But the poisons he can get rid of when he's sleeping is really handy to do, because poison is one of the annoying ones to get rid of, because you need potions for that, and getting a less hit percent, less chance to hit in this game really sucks, because they don't really do the math properly on this game for the hit percent chance, which sucks. But yeah, this guy here, you can go around there and try and use him, but as a melee damage guy, but it's not really effective. He's got low hit points and low damage all around. If you want to go there and shadow step, it takes all your action points to go ahead and do that. Then you have to move in behind the guy, so that's like another turn wasted. So you're wasting 2 turns just to get into position to start doing some backstab damage and make him do damage. That's too long, I found, for most of the time, just to get him started. What you really want to do with this guy is the choking gas, is the AoE stun. He's like the only other character that does that AoE stun, and that's incredibly important to have, is something like that, to hit multiple guys with a stun. And he's got like a fire bomb right there, and for added effect, he's got this decoy right there, which is, you stick this behind the boss has to turn around, and so your other party members don't have to move and get behind him if you want to do a little bit extra damage from backstabs. It takes away 3 of his attacks, where just the decoy soaks it up and turns him around. So his added effect is kind of like a stun. So the stuns only last 3 turns. This guy, soaks up 3 attacks. It doesn't matter which way you do it, but it's having a character that can do 2 of them. You can do a single and an AoE one at the in the same time. So that is just, a very handy thing to do, in my opinion, for having him. So he's really great for functionality. He is just really weak on that department there, and unfortunately his main attack is going to be on strength, and strength is not going to be what you're going to want to build him with, because you're going to want to use agility for his other abilities, which use agility, and that one uses intellect, and none for that one, none. But his main attack, other attacks over here, are all using basically agility or other stuff right there, and energy is for agility, and all these attacks take a lot of energy out of them. So yeah, building up agility is going to do more damage, and you're going to have more use for him. But when your main attack uses strength, he's going to be weaker off there. So yeah. It's not going to be the best for damage or running around doing that, but his functionality is awesome to actually have in your party. And the next person right here this is one of the main characters you're going to get, and that has a named character. There's a quest that you actually need this ranger specifically to actually do, just to talk to a statue. You don't really have to do any combat, I guess. I just brought it in there and talked to the statue, and the quest was done. But anyways, it's perception ability. We don't know what's going to be hidden. We don't know where they are. If you want to actually find all these hidden areas with this extra loot, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of them or a little bit of them, because I didn't run with this guy in my party too often. Yeah, if you want to find everything in this game, you're going to want to have this guy in your party, maybe even start with him. He is ranged damage, so it's not going to be as much as a wizard damage, but it is ranged damage. And this guy does have a stun right here, which is really fun to use, and it's also agility based, right? Unlike the rogue, this guy actually has agility for his main attack, and lots of his other attacks do use agility for his damage, which makes him a little bit better in that department. So yeah, you can pump up agility, and then you'll have a little bit extra energy, and you'll be a ranged guy that has a heal. And you always use this. This one doesn't cost any focus. This gives you focus. This gives you 30 focus, and his main attack gives you 20. So what are you gonna do? At the start of the round, I use bark skin and hit my tank and give my tank extra armor, and it doesn't cost very much energy. It's only 1 action point, and it makes my tank live longer, and I get 30 focus, and then I can start wailing off with a I can use my stun or some hail of arrows. I can heal a guy, and all that kind of fun stuff with this guy. And this guy has a summoned direwolf too, and so the summoned creature, once you hit level 15, summoned creature is going to be like a really powerful ally to have for the the 3 turns it will last. But still, it's a summoned creature that's going to have more hit points than you have probably, and do probably more damage too with his attacks while he's out there. That's just seems the way it works for summoned creatures. But yeah, very solid choice right there. Unlike the battle cleric, this is not really a character you might want to use or not. The healing thing there's lots of shrines of statues, and they just give you a healing to your party, and when you rest with this guy, you just get a healing. Unlike the ranger, when you sleep with this guy, he gets rid of bleeds. I forgot to mention that's why I'm going back to it, sorry. But yeah, he gets rid of bleeds, and bleeds are very common, but bandages are very easy to buy too. So yeah, that's your pros and the cons, is if you want to find everything, and the bleeds are easy to get rid of. They are annoying because they tick off every second, not every step you take. They just keep ticking and ticking and ticking, and you're bleeding. So you're going to want to get rid of the bleeds right away, which means you might want to rest right away after the fight or use bandages right away. So it's not, you don't really have to have them, but it's nice to have a handy way to get rid of them right off the bat. But yeah. There's the battle cleric, just a heal. Rested is a heal, so there's not much going on in him, but he does have some cool abilities like this meditation. He heals mana, heals his focus automatically for himself. He's got lots of, an AoE shield on for himself, AoE heals. He's got single target heals. He's got stuns and lots of other fun stuff that he can do. Damage reflections, things. So he's the kind of a guy that you want for like a main character that's playing this game solo if you could, but with all those pathways you have to open up, you can't really play this game solo in that department. And he is a melee character, unfortunately, so you have to run around and hit things with a melee range. He doesn't have very much for ranged attacks. Like 6 range is not very much compared to the melee range for damage. There's nothing really that has for range. So yeah, he's a melee healer, and we don't like that in this game. Not too much. We don't like that. So he's not really that good for that. Unlike the bard right here, which is going to be like maybe the only character I might recommend starting with that does no functionality for resting and opening up pathways, which are the two most important things: is killing a debuff and opening up pathways. And the bard doesn't do either of those, but his other abilities are really good. That's why I might recommend him as a starting character, depending on what kind of party you want. Bards usually I don't like them in general for most of the way they play, but this one right here, his functionality can be really great. There's lots of places where you find this fine nose ability and healing fatigue. Once you get 20 fatigue on your party, you're going to need to rest, because that's you lose 25% of your initiative, which means you might have just 1 attack versus 2 attack in a round. So losing those action points would really suck. And this guy can heal fatigue without even resting, and he generates a 60 focus when you pick those things up. And there's lots of these all over the place, so you're not going to have a shortage of finding these while you're questing. They're placed in nice spots all over the place, and that 60 focus to start the fight with is incredibly important if you actually want to play use that type of strategy. I don't know how to describe it anyways. For an example right there, you want to start a fight, you want to use your AoE taunt. This takes 30 focus to use. If you have no focus to start the fight, you need to generate 30 focus. Your attack right here only generates 25 focus. This ability here only generates 25 focus. That's not enough to actually use this character. You're going to have to go there and move into position, attack the guy, and then the next round attack him again, or use this ability, and then you can taunt him on the second round. A second round taunt is not as effective as your first round taunt, obviously, especially when you want the melee guys to come charging in and come right at your tank right off the bat. So having your focus built up right away is a really good and really handy thing to have in this game, especially when you save this game and you reload this game. You lose all your focus and all your buffs too. It's really stupid that they did that. It's something I would never do to somebody. It's like, you save your game, you reload it, keep whatever focus you have, but you don't do it. But this guy here will do that, and when you rest with him, his bonus is you can keep your focus, so you don't lose your focus. Normally, I think you lose like 10 focus an hour while resting, and most of the time, you might be resting 4 hours at a time to get rid of the fatigue you built up and get rid of the debuff of deep wounds, which is the only way to get rid of it, is sleeping for 4 hours. No character does that. You have to sleep for actual 4 hours. And this guy here, his functionality, besides keeping your focus up and finding new focus, he does have a stun. He has AoE heals. He has other on the single target heals, bubbles and stuff like that. Big buffs that you can do, like this one. Look at this one here. This big here, big heal, big shield, buff for 3 turns on 3 different stats. Normally it's just 1 stat and stuff like that. So he's got a lot of fun things that he can do, and of course he's got his stun right there, which is just a single target stun, but it is a debuff too, and a debuff of magic armor. So magic armor 100% less. Yeah, well, that's just awesome having that. And this ability over here does magic armor 100% less too. So he's got multiple ways to give a guy a magic armor debuff on there, besides his all the other things they can do. He's got a bleed attack right there. His main attack is an arcane damage attack, so it's ranged, not as long as a wizard, but still it's a ranged attack that is free to use. It generates 50 focus, but all his abilities take a lot of focus to use too, unfortunately. But yeah, he can generate that focus easily at range. and do that damage for himself. So he's got all that fun stuff that he can do. And if you're going to make a party with wizards and stuff like that, you don't get much bards in this game. You do get this one guy earlier on. I think he starts at level 6. Yeah, so you do get him on, but it's not right away early. So you might want to actually start with a bard. You don't really get too much more, and you need a bard for some of the other quests you might want to do, missions and unlocking of your keep and stuff like that. So you might want him as a main guy. But having a bard and then taking a party with a priest and a wizard and a necromancer, so they're all magic users, and they can all use that bard's fun debuff that you have on him to do extra damage. So he can really the magic damage already does a lot of damage, and he just he can do a lot more that way. But yeah, it might be good, it might not be. So most of these guys might not have any magic armor anyways, right? That's why my wizard was doing so much damage. Most of the time they have no magic armor, so that could do nothing, or it could be great on for combat. So you could do a whole bunch of damage with a magic party or not. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I don't know for myself. But anyways, the other good character to have, nice solid character, is the priest. The priest has a dispel. There is a lot of places where you need to dispel corrupted ground to get open up pathways, and when you rest with them, you get rid of the curse, which is a handy thing to do. Curse is pretty common, not as common as the bleeds or the armor debuff or the poisons, but almost as common as the rest. And the other debuff of disease is less common than all those other ones right there. But he does have this Holy Radiance ability, which will get rid of disease and bleed and curse and wounds and poison and stun effects on all your party members that are nearby. So that is something that he can do with that Holy Radiance, and it does damage. So that's a really good thing that he can have. He can do too. Other than the regular priest out there, his melee attacks, holy damage at range, awesome. He's like the second best damage guy that I've used so far, and I haven't used the necromancer, so I don't know if he's the second best damage in the game, or the bard, obviously. But yeah, the holy damage right here is quite a bit of damage at range, and he can have this armor buff right here, so you can buff up your tank with armor, which is what I do all the time. The tank uses his own shout, and that gives him an armor buff too, a bubble for shield, but that gets blown away after the first couple hits, and then so this guy can put a shield on him every round, and take no damage. So you don't really have to use your heal. You just keep shielding him up there and attacking. And the searing heat right here is also very handy because it makes whatever you're attacking, it puts them last in line. And it does damage over time. Like right now, I can do 250 damage for 3 turns. So yeah, this does set to the boss you're fighting. After 3 rounds, you do 750 damage, and he has to go last in round. And it's a handy high damage thing you can do to these fights. He has some other abilities he's some minor AOE healed. You can buff up some of your attacking, a heal over time, and the shield. If I never use this too often because I don't really have 2 action points, and the tank is not dying very much, but because I'm playing well, I guess. But if you're having a problem with a fight, adding a heal over time and a shield on the guy to heal him back up again, it'll save his life. You save your tank's life if he has a whole bunch of hit points to actually soak up all that damage. You can actually heal it. Very, very handy to have all this kind of stuff. And he's got he's the only guy that can actually revive a party member that's died. They all come back to life at the end of the fight, anyways. But in the middle of a fight, especially if you're playing with a rogue, right? If you're going to play with a thief in there, and your thief runs up in there, and then the guy just turns around, and some bosses have 4 attacks. He's taunted for 3 attacks. He's a 1, 2, 3, turns around, and he just smashes the rogue and kills him in 1 shot. You can resurrect him. There you go. He's back to life and then back into combat, and can start stunning him and stuff like that again. And you can get control of the fight once again. He's got this one. I'm trying this one here out. I haven't really used it yet to be immune for 5 turns. I think we did just 5 action points used, I guess, or maybe 5 hits on yourself. I don't know. It's probably not as good as it sounds, but it's still pretty funny to actually have something like that in your party, and he has extra functionality. So let's carry on to the last guy. It's over with the Night Warden. The Night Warden uses the crossbow, but his main attack is a short-ranged attack that is a melee attack that uses agility, and then he has his other ranged attack over here. This one here is just a regular ranged attack, but it does generate focus. It takes energy to use that one, and this one here generates focus too, and this is a short, a short range one. But he does have a stun, I believe. a single target stun somewhere, but that's not where he shines, because this guy is going to do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, this character uses mana, and lots of his abilities use agility. When you want agility for your character so you can get energy and do more damage at the same time, you're going to have to put all your points into intelligence. Some of these abilities use strength, so this guy uses strength, agility, and intelligence for his abilities. Where's intelligence? Right there was intelligence. He uses all 3 stats. He is average on all the stats though, so he comes out as average. He might have more stats in total than the other characters. I'm not too sure about that. It just looks that way. But I have a 20 fatigue, and right now he's getting negative 25% and negative 25% on the initiative for that 20 fatigue. And that's why you want to do that resting, because you don't want this. Your initiative has to be 100 or above, or you have a chance to lose that action point, and that one, that hurts. When most of your abilities take 2 action points, that sucks. But he's got average in all those all those stats anyways, so he's going to be the average damage guy, and he does have some ranged ability to go with them. And this disengage right here is incredibly powerful. It does does a sunder debuff on there, which is to reckon their armor, and it does 2 hits, so that could be 2 stacks, and that's like 10% more damage for everybody else to him, and then that gives him his action point back. So this is like the only character that has a solid attack that will give you an action point back at the same time. So yeah, when you have 2 action points, you plop, use this one here, you have 2 more action points to do, and that means you can do some of his other special abilities that he has on there. That's going to take up to 2 action points for him, like AoE attacks, execute for the guy. This one right here is like really high damage. It's 3 hits and 400 damage each. Yeah, so that's a really powerful attack. And then you have this reload ability, so you can reload. It takes 2 action points, but your cooldown is gone. So you could go on the first turn, always use this, and then you can use this, and then the next turn you can just use your reload, and then then this will be up and ready to go again, and so will that. It's a high damage attack. It might be worth it to actually just do that for your combo. You start off with that damage, make them weak. They're going to take extra damage from this hit on the same turn. Next turn, you're doing nothing, and then the next turn after that, you're doing something again. He could be like one of the highest damage guys out there with his other abilities, and that is 10% of his damage for his agility goes to light damage. So that's an extra magic damage he can do based on his agility. But my guy's only level 10 right now, or this guy here at level 12, and his agility is like at 100. So yeah. That 10% of that is only 10 extra damage, so that's not too much to actually worry about at the moment. But once you get to higher level 20 or so, and you stack more points into agility, that could be good at the end of the day. And his rested bonus isn't really that great either. It is a damage reduction versus shadow damage right here. So the death damage. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty high. I think it's 30 or maybe up to 60 death resistance when you sleep with them. So that's nice, handy to use. Let's go and take out this guy right here and see it for sure. Right, I'll just put him in here for now. Get in there. Oh, I can't put him in? Oh, that's weird. That's because I have that extra character. Let's put him in there. There we go. Now you can come in. So yeah, I guess they gotta fix that too, right? When you get the extra character to join your party, you can't. If you try and change your party up, you can't do it because you only allows you to have 4. So when you're resting right here, his bonus right here is it increases. Let's go there and check it out. And there you go. Click that there. Click it properly, please and thank you. Night Warden teaches your party to fear not death, and increase your resistance by 10%. Of the agility for 30 minutes. Oh yeah, it's just 10% of the agility for 30 minutes. Okay, yeah, so that's not too high. I was reading it wrong, so yeah, just make sure I had to clarify it for myself. Oh yeah, so 10% of your agility as a buff for magic resistance. So let's buff myself up and take a look at it, because it's going to be what. Yeah, plus 9 death resistance. Yeah, so that's not too high, but later on, if you are stacking your stats, I do have like 300 strength on my character. Naturally, when I'm close to level 20, and I did put some stuff into stamina and the other stats a little bit here and there. So yeah, if this guy gets up higher level, he might have in his agility, he might be able to get up to 300. So if you get your agility up to 300, and then it's 10% of that, so you can have plus 30. That's what I was doing the math before. So you can have a plus 30 to your death resistance. And why? Oh yeah, because you start with a negative on there. That's why you can start with -5 on there. So having that extra death resistance. Lots of the goblin shamans in this game use death spells on you, and some of the undead use the spells on you too. So it's good to have some death resistance, but at the end of the day, you want the functionality of your party to be the top factor of picking your party. So what I recommend for your first game through, like I said, said at the start of the video, is go with, you know, pick a priest, or pick a lancer, or pick a ranger, or pick a thief. One of those guys, you're not going to do, you're going to have a good day if you pick any of those classes right there for a standard party that you're going to play. Because, you know, the tank and the healer, good combination right there. Ranger backup and thief backup for AoE stuns and single target stuns, and summon creatures, and all the other different, in the decoy. So you're going to have a well-balanced party that has double functionality of opening up barriers and healing the debuffs. Very important to have. Easy to play. So that's the top recommended party for the first timer in this game if you don't want to do anything fancy and just want to play the game through and have an easier time. And just pick whichever character you feel like is your choice for the main character. You like being a tank and being the guy who goes from there and hit stuff a lot, or you want to try and be sneaky with your main character, or you just want to, you know, pew pew with your ranger and do that kind of stuff, or pew pew with your priest, because that's what I end up doing with him all the time, is just doing a ton of damage with his especially with his attacks off of him, and then healing once in a while when you need to. But it's much better to use this guy for attack and kill guys than worrying about healing guys later, that type of thing for me. But anyways, the other party you might want to do is a whole mage party. The priest, the bard, the necromancer, and the wizard. You might want to do that. And you know, the off chance you might want to actually do that for a sentinel party, you can go ahead and do that. But breaking the barriers and healing stuff is going to be a pain in the ass at the for doing that. But yeah, you can pick and choose your other party members. You got a good description of what all these, the pros and the cons of what all these other characters can do. You know, the Kingsman and the Sentinel, they also can act like tanks, and the Battle Cleric is, you know, a decent solo type of deal going on there. He's got lots of reflective damage and other things like that. You know, reflective heals and reflecting damage and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, they all have their pros and their cons, and you know, hopefully you're informed enough to pick which character you want to use and how you want to build your party up depending on your playstyle. So you have some options here, but now you know the different functionalities, and of course, you know, a barrier breaker on that cleric, in that class, barrier breaker again, another barrier breaker, find new barriers, and then another barrier breaker. So there's lots of them to choose from, and then, you know, you gotta have to heal debuffs. This guy heals a debuff, and this guy heals a debuff, this guy heals a debuff, that guy heals a debuff, and Lancer will heal a debuff. So yeah, you only have 4 party members, but you want like 6 of them in your party, basically. I would want all 6 of those guys in my party, so I don't have to run back and forth to open up different pathways and find new pathways and heal all those nasty debuffs that are in this game. So yeah, there you have it. Hopefully this was informative enough for you, and you can make a good choice on your party and have some fun with that, and let me know how it goes. So thanks for watching, and I will see you later.